Yo. What's going on, man? Today is January the 18th, 2023. It's your boy Chris, and this is the Cash Dip with Chris NBA betting show slash podcast presented to you guys, as always, by the Basketball Forever Podcast Network. We back, man. We doing the morning shows. I figured we had enough games today to kind of go ahead and get back into it. Gonna try to make this a regular thing as it was before the holiday season as well, trying to get back into doing it every single morning for you guys, Monday through Friday. Probably not doing it on the weekends as much, but Monday through Friday, try to tap in with you guys. If you guys don't mind, hit the like button for me if you guys are watching on YouTube. Also, if you guys are checking out the tweet on Twitter, re-like and tweet the show. That'd be greatly appreciated as well. And then also check out the podcast, on all podcast streaming platforms. It's available later if you guys want to listen back versus, listening to or watching it, live at 7 a.m. Eastern time on the East Coast. So do that for me. And like I said, I appreciate you guys for being here. I see people already in the comment section already. Shout out to you guys for being here early with me. LJ, I know you cashed on Nicholas Claxton yesterday over 2.5 blocks, 3.5 blocks. You said the gift that keeps on giving. Absolutely. What's up, Anthony, JR Sports, DJ, KC? I see you guys. Thank you guys for being here with me in the morning, early in the morning. So we got a pretty big card today. I think it's 9 games in total. Not going to break down all the games, trying to keep the show just a tad bit shorter in the morning, at least until we get, a little more information. It does no justice for us as handicappers to, cap these games inside and out, upside and down, left and right, all to get some, injury news or some manipulation later on in the day that could, change everything that you cap. So a brief cap in the morning or before I go to sleep is typically what I do. And then share information with you guys. Always tap back in with me during the 5:15 Crispy Captain NBA show where I have official plays, but just trying to give you guys some notes, some analysis, let you into my mind and help you guys understand how I'm reading this game. So real quick recap of yesterday, as always. We did go 1-1 on official plays, gave out Ben Simmons 10 points. He barely got there. This dude does not look like he wants to score the ball at all, ever, which is so weird to me, especially against a smaller San Antonio team. Kyrie goes down, KD goes down. I'm not sure what else needs to happen for him to feel like he needs to step up offensively. He did get the triple-double last night, but really just, not really. He looked to score early, you could tell, which is one of the reasons why I told you guys I was taking him. It was a motivational spot from Saturday against the Oklahoma City Thunder. So he looked to score. I think he started shooting like 1 for 5, 1 for 4. Picked it up just a tad bit, but not a guy looking to score the ball. And then Trey Jones just had a really poor rough shooting night. And I'll live with that. I'll live on that. I'll die on that hill with Trey Jones if he's going to shoot, as many times he did last night. I think I looked, he was like 1 for 9 from the field. Just couldn't get a shot to go down. Assist numbers were still there. Pretty good defense in Brooklyn, but I fully expect them to step up and bounce back. So I'll probably be on them again in the next game. Keldon Johnson really took over last night. I think he finished with 35 points and had 10 assists. So I'm trash talking towards the end of the game. Big win last night for the San Antonio Spurs. And then also, I gave out a couple other plays that also, did pretty well as well. Also, with the Denver Nuggets, and I talked about the Philadelphia 76ers last night, but not official plays for me. Also, the Milwaukee Bucks, not official plays, but I did have some of those in my pocket. Just didn't make those official plays. So real quick, transitioning on to today, we got a few games. Like I said, I think it's 9 games. Haven't completely capped all these games, to be completely honest with you guys, but do have a couple games that I want to talk about and just kind of share some information on before we get up out of here. So first game up, I want to talk a little bit about this Wizards and Knicks game, right? So Wizards have been a really difficult team to cap throughout the season. Just a lot of ups and downs, right? This team is 5-5 in their last 10, both against the spread and straight up, which I think is indicative of the entire season, right? They can't tell if they want to be good or they can't tell if they want to be bad. So 50% is kind of where they're cruising at. You look at this Knicks team. The Knicks have been good, man. They've been really good. This team is 25-20, which I think exceeds the expectation the most. They are only 11-12 at home, but you look at them last 10, 7-3, 6-4 against the spread. So, the Knicks have done well. And immediately what jumped out to me, because these two teams did just play each other last week, the first thing that kind of jumped out to me was, why don't we just take the Knicks? They were laying 3.5 points, I think it was. in DC last week in that game, and they won the game by 4. So they covered by a point. Come home and you see the line, shift to 5.5, which I think it opened at 5.5, maybe even opened at 6. I see it at 6 right now, but I want to say I saw 5.5 last night. So to me, what that says is, pretty. It's going to be a pretty tight game again, right? So typically, you get about 3 points for home court advantage. So what that says to me is that with the spread being 6, instead of 6.5, tells me, what I needed to know to look a little bit deeper. So the reason why is not what I wanted to touch on in this game is the reason why it's not extremely easy to take the Knicks in this spot is because this is a third game in 4 nights for them. It's also a fourth game in 6 nights, and we know that they just came off the game with the Toronto Raptors on MLK Day on Monday that went to overtime as well. So not a really, really good spot for the Knicks here. Initially, I wanted to look towards their team totals and full game, either their full first half, first quarter, and full game team totals to go over. I got a little bit of information to kind of support that. So this season, home favorites that played their last game in overtime. It played their previous game in overtime, and they're 6-point favorites or more. Those teams are 11-6, 11-6-1 against the spread, and 5 of the last 6 have hit their team total to go over, and 14 of the last 18 games have gone over as well. So we don't have a total in this one. You guys can see on the screen there's no total that's posted, but I like the total to go over in this game. Didn't play it yet. I do think that the Knicks will have some tired legs on defense. We know that Kuzma and Porzingis will be back in the Garden where he has played, previously before, and I think it's a lot of conflicting trends towards this game, a lot of conflicting things. I also think that it's interesting to note Bradley Beal was upgraded to questionable. I thought he would play on MLK Day against the Golden State Warriors, but he set that game out. But he is listed as questionable with that hamstring again today. Not 100% sure if he gives it a go, but if he does, he typically slows the offense down. The Wizards play at a slower pace with Bradley Beal in the game. Not 100% sure why. So just, make sure you have all the facts and information before, you want to pull a trigger on either side. I do think looking at Julius Randle rebounds is in play. We know that the Washington Wizards give up a lot of rebounds to opposing big men, and they don't really have anyone that can stop Julius Randle. Julius Randle typically plays extremely well when he plays against the New York Knicks. I think last week I talked about taking his rebounds plus points at 38.5, and I'm pretty sure he cleared that number in the last game when these two teams just faced off just 5 days ago. So looks like he had 23 and 16. So yeah, he cleared the 38.5, had 39 rebounds plus points. So Brunson also, is probably in line for a pretty big game. They don't have a guard that can really, do too much with Jalen Brunson. He did only have 17 points and five rebounds and 1 assist in that last game. So probably looking for I'm sorry, he had 34 points, 8 assists, and 8 rebounds. So I kind of look for Brunson to continue to kind of keep it going in that spot. But that's my thoughts and my sentiments on this game, especially without having the news about Bradley Beal. So that's what I got for you guys there. The next game I wanted to touch on just a tad bit was the Hawks and the Mavericks game. So pretty big game here for both teams. You look at this Atlanta Hawks team, another team that's kind of going up and down throughout the season. They've been more hot than cold recently, even though they are only 5-5 straight up and against the spread in their last 10. The last 5 has actually been pretty well for them. So they'll be traveling from home to road, which I want to touch on just a tad bit more, traveling to Dallas in this one. And you look at the Dallas Mavericks in this spot. The Dallas Mavericks have not been well either. They're also not healthy. Maxi Kleber will still miss this game. Tim Hardaway Jr. is also going to miss this game with the right ankle soreness. And then you do get 2 guys back, though. So Dorian Finney-Smith, expected to be back. Dorian Finney-Smith is expected to play in this game. He hasn't played, I think, in the last 20 games. I think it was December the 14th, the last time he played. And then on the opposite side, on the same side, you get Josh Green, who he's also expected to be back in this game. So Luka does get a little bit of help. The Dallas Mavericks have not been in good form recently. This team is just let's see, I got it in my notes. The Dallas Mavericks are. Let's see if I can pull up my right notes. Let's see. Give me 1 second. Y'all bear with me. So the Dallas Mavericks uh are just four. They've lost four of their last five with only one of those wins come with the only win coming against a game where Luka had to force overtime and double overtime, and that was against the Lakers in LA. Back-to-back losses to Portland over the weekend, one with Luka, one without Luka, and they gave up 136 and 140 points in both of those games. So listening to Coach Kidd interviews, he talked about, just how they came to compete. He thinks that getting healthy, will help, and that they definitely want to protect home court. One of the angles I was looking at, I didn't see a total for this game, but one of the angles I was looking at was, and Luka is probable for this game, so I think that's important to mention. The reason why they're actually a favorite on the spread. One of the things I think is important to mention is the Mavs. When you get them coming from road to home, it's two interesting trends I want to share with you guys. So the Mavs, when they've played their previous game on the road, and they're coming home, they're 7-0 against the spread. After 7-0 last 7 home games following a road trip of 7 days or more. So sometimes there's this effect where you want to fade the team coming back home off a road trip. Not always though, right? The Mavs do well in this spot. Like I said, 7-0 straight up and against the spread. You look at this Hawks team; they're just 2-8 straight up and against the spread. 2-8 straight up, 0-10 against the spread, traveling from home to road. So when the Hawks have played their last game on the or at home and they're traveling on the road, they have not covered the spread this season. Really, really telling stat there. They're also 0-5 straight up and against the spread when they're traveling from home to road and they won the previous game, right? So if they've had a previous win at home and then they're going on the road, they haven't covered the spread. 0-5 straight up and against the spread. We know that they did beat the Miami Heat on MLK Day in a game that they got up for. So on the opposite side, the Hawks do play the Dallas Mavericks pretty closely. They are 6-2 last 8 games in Dallas. I think with getting Dorian Finney-Smith back and Josh Green, those guys haven't played, like I said, one of them 20 games, one of them 14 games. It's going to make it a little difficult, just kind of insert those guys in. Josh Green, he'll come off the bench and try to play a role and help offensively. And Dorian Finney-Smith is more of a defensive lockdown 3-and-D type guy. Not sure how well he's going to be able to shoot it here. We know that the Hawks can give up 3-pointers left and right at times. So really, really difficult read for me on this one. I feel like I got more work to do, but I did feel like those were pretty, big, travel spots, because you low key want to just take the Mavs just off, the Atlanta Hawks playing so poorly, traveling from home to away. But the Hawks do play well in Dallas specifically. I do think that the Mavs come out here just probably a tad bit motivated. We know that there's still turmoil going on in the Atlanta Hawks organization from top to bottom. Quite frankly, the Hawks have also covered 4 of their last 5 games as away dogs. We know that they got a big win in Toronto, recently as well. So I don't really have a solid look on this game. I think looking at Luka PRAs is probably in consideration, something I take into consideration as well. But that's what I got for you guys. Wanted to kind of share those, just share that news with you guys and those angles that I came up with. And then the next game I want to touch on just a tad bit before I kind of do some quick stuff on a few of the games as well. Just some quick notes for you guys. I want to touch on this Cavs and the Grizzlies game. So one of the things that I've been reluctant to do throughout the season is lay a lot of points with these really, really good teams. It's not something that I necessarily want to do, but I do think that as we get more information about these teams, as we start to see these teams, and collect more data on them, we can follow more trends and see how they perform in certain spots. I am going to start, laying some of these big numbers with these teams. So Cavs and the Grizzlies, Exhibit A, right? So we know that Donovan Mitchell is listed as doubtful in this game with the hamstring. I think it was the hamstring that he pulled in the last game, but then he ended up coming back. On the opposite side, you get this Grizzlies team. Grizzlies have been absolutely on fire at home specifically. We know what they do at home. Very reminiscent of the Denver Nuggets, which is another team I talked about. Spread being pretty high, but I thought it was indicative of the books just giving respect to the Denver Nuggets at home. I also feel the same way about this Memphis Grizzlies team. One thing we know about the Grizzlies is that they turn up at home. This team plays extremely well. They're 10-0 in their last 10 games. They won 10 games in a row, 7-3 against the spread as well. The Cleveland Cavaliers just 6-4 against the spread, also 4-5-1 against the spread. This team also struggles on the road. They're 7-13-2 against the spread in road games versus the Mavs, 14-7-1. We know that they typically cover spreads. This team is also just a really good team. They're 30-13 on the season. So, uh, with all the guys in, right? If we had everybody in for this game, I do think, of course, that Donovan Mitchell probably means about 2-3 points to the spread. We know that the Cavs are not the greatest team on the road, as they are at home, but their offense is what struggles the most for me, right? Also, you just get them in a really, really weird spot because this will be, they were on the road for 5 straight games, and then they come home for one, and then they go right back on the road. They got the Golden State Warriors on Thursday. I'm sorry, they got the Golden State Warriors on Friday, back at home. So, uh, not a spot that you are really looking to, back the Cavs. 5 home games, 1 road game, and now back at home on, like I said, on Thursday. I'm sorry, on Friday. So to me, it'd be Grizzlies or nothing. The other thing that I looked at in this game was, just the Cavs. You don't see them as dogs too much. The Cavs are just 2-6 against the spread as away dogs. 4 of those losses did come by double digits. To me, that shows that the books are giving the respect to the Memphis Grizzlies in this game, and I would only be able to look towards laying the points with Memphis in this one. I know that 7 is a tad bit too much, but Memphis can absolutely cover 7. Also, like I said, with the Cavs being 2-6 against the spread as an away dog, I think that's telling, right? And to see them as a away dog of 7 points or more. Like I said, 4 of those 6 losses did come by double digits on the road. I just don't see them having enough offense in this one, especially with the Memphis Grizzlies kind of keeping it rolling at home. They just smacked up Phoenix, beat Indiana on the road, beat up the San Antonio Spurs, even though they didn't cover either one of those spreads. So if you guys want to, and what I've been doing as well, if you guys want to lay off the spreads and look towards some of these team totals, Memphis has absolutely been crushing their team total in the first quarter and first half and full game. First quarter, probably the one that, kind of dies on the hook sometime, because most of the time it is about 30.5, and sometimes they will finish at right about 30. I know that they finished, right at 29, 30 points against Phoenix on MLK Day. But this team has absolutely been on fire. We know that the Cavs play with a little less pace, but really it's about Memphis playing defense, being able to knock down their shots, and being able to get out and run in transition. They don't have a guard that's going to be able to slow down anybody like Ja Morant at all. So I'd be looking towards, it's just a regular game. It's not a nationally televised game, but I'll be looking towards Memphis to cover this spread of 7, even though it is a pretty big spread. And if you want to pivot, I do think that you look towards the team totals for the Memphis Grizzlies. Don't think the Cleveland Cavaliers have enough offense to be able to keep up with a Memphis team like this. This will be the first matchup that these teams have played against each other this year. So that would be my look in this game, man. Like I said, 10 straight wins for Phoenix. I'm sorry, for Memphis. I do think that they kind of keep it going. They've covered 7 of those spreads as well. The only 3 games that they didn't cover were against the Utah Jazz, the San Antonio Spurs on the second night of a back-to-back, and also the San Antonio Spurs in the following matchup as well, because they did play them 2 games back-to-back. So those are the looks that I kind of have for you guys. Also, real quick on that game, Cavs 0-4 against the spread in their last 4 games following an ATS win. 0-4 in their last 4 games following a straight-up win. They're 1-5 in their last 6 games versus a team with a winning straight-up record. So Cavs not in the greatest form right now. This is a team that I really, really enjoy backing, but I can't do it without Donovan Mitchell, especially on the road. So that's where I would kind of look, in that game, is towards some team totals. And also towards Memphis being able to cover that big spread. So I'll be back later. This is crazy. I've been talking for 5 minutes, for 20 minutes already, but I'll be back later for the Crispy Cap and NBA show. Definitely want to get into, a few of the other games. I do think that Charlotte playing Houston in a pretty bad spot for Houston. First game back home after a 4-game road trip and a third game in 4 nights. I think it's also a fourth game in 6 nights. I think Jalen Green got upgraded to questionable. I'm sorry, Kevin Porter Jr. got graded to questionable. He hasn't played in the last few games. I think Charlotte should be able to take care of them minus the 2, but something I want to look a little more into. Also, really want to touch on the Pelicans and the Heat game. So Pelicans will be back home after a significant road trip. The Miami Heat coming off a loss in Atlanta and laying a point and a half against the Pelicans team that typically plays well at home. So definitely want to talk about that. Also, I got to dive into the OKC and the Indiana Pacers game, man. Tyrese Halliburton still going to be missing. OKC was an absolute wagon. If you play OKC on that road trip, you absolutely made a lot of money in that spot. This team is 21-23, but they're 7-3 against the spread in their last 10 and 6-4. They went to Philly and won outright, lost to Miami, but covered the spread in that one, lost by 1 point. Also beat Brooklyn and beat Chicago and Chicago, laying at least 5 points in every single one of those games. So we'll be trying to figure out how I want to back OKC. Don't necessarily like them as a favorite, but got some work to do there. Denver Nuggets. I mean, people blindly taking them in the first quarter because they playing so well. They get a revenge game against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Spread already going up. It was at 8. It's up to 8.5. Timberwolves have absolutely been balling today. Balling recently since the new year started. But how do you fade Denver right now? Denver, the best team at home in the NBA. 9-2 last 10. Straight up 8-2 against the spread. Absolute monster team right now. So and then you get the Clippers as well, traveling to Utah, coming off the loss against the Philadelphia 76ers. So home, road, back-to-back for them. We got a lot to talk about, a lot to dive into, man. And then last but not least, the Sacramento Kings traveling to Los Angeles to take on my Lakers tonight as well. Extremely high total of 245 points. We know what happened in the last game. Think the Kings probably got some revenge on their mind. But the Kings don't play as good defense on the road. So we'll see how that one goes. Got a lot of homework to do, man. Got a lot of homework to do to jump back into these games. But like I said, hit the like button for me if you guys can. Share the show if you guys can as well. Let me see what you guys said in the YouTube comment section real quick before I get up out of here. Knicks first half has been cashing. I like the Knicks first half, Zachary. I do think that the Knicks come out and cover a spread. It will be the first quarter, first half. I talked about it. I don't know if you were here. I talked about the Knicks specifically, not in the greatest spot. Third game in 4 nights, fourth game in 6 nights, I think, as well, and coming off the overtime game. So bad taste in their mouth, after blowing a 10-point lead and having to go to overtime. So I can see the Knicks coming out with something and punching the Wizards in the mouth early. Also, if Bradley Beal gets ruled in, it could throw off the chemistry because guys like Rudy Hachimura, who, I mean, he's been coming off the bench, but somebody will have to shift back into their natural position. Monte Morris should also be back. Bradley Beal could really mess up the offensive flow for Washington, specifically early. So I'll be looking towards the Knicks first quarter, first half in that game as well. What up, Courtney? Yeah, Harden really put up 6 points. Harden probably hit the club, man. He probably was out in LA having a good time. I think it's indicative of the numbers that he put up. I was talking about his rebounds plus assists. Thank God I didn't play that last night because he didn't even come close. He looked like Andrew Nembhard. So yeah, not touching Harden. Glad I stayed away from that one. The Siakam went into the fourth quarter with 21 points and finished half point short of his point prop, 23.5. Didn't like the spot too much for Siakam, but did think he would be able to get it done last night, Curtis. Brian said, "What's up, Chris? Knicks first half for me so far. Want to fade the Clippers somehow also." Yeah, I would look towards team totals, Brian. Whenever you want to fade them and not necessarily play the point spread, I do think that you look towards totals. PG has also already been rolled out in that game today. So, yeah. Utah, not a team you typically want to lay points with at home. They don't typically cover as a home favorite, but they play well as a home dog. We saw that against the Cleveland Cavaliers last week. Also against the Philadelphia 76ers, right? 2 games they were home dogs, covered both of those spreads, but lost the game to Philly by 1. Covered the spread though, because I think Philly was laying 3.5 in that spot. And then also, the game against the Cleveland Cavaliers with Donovan Mitchell returning last week at the beginning of last week, they covered that game and won that game outright. So yeah, absolutely. Snag said he's back in Randall again. DJ said Nuggets third quarter money line was still a wagon. Thank you for that look yesterday. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I hope you guys are getting some value from me doing these podcasts. But like I said, check the podcast out. If you guys could go on Apple Podcasts or wherever you guys are, Spotify, wherever you guys are getting your podcast from, or listen to your podcast and leave me a review. It'd be greatly appreciated. I appreciate you guys for rocking with me as always. Grateful, a lot of gratitude in my heart for everyone that taps in with me in the morning show and that always showing support, whether it's DMs or whatever the case might be, man. Thank you guys. In the show, as I always do, none of this is financial consultation. It's all theory and logic and query and trends and eye tests. But bet with your head, not over it. Hopefully I presented some information that was helpful to you guys today. Tap back in with me at 5:15 Eastern time for the Crispy Captain NBA show, where I have a lot more officials, but not haven't locked in anything yet. Just kind of wanted to share my strongest looks with you guys, that being the Memphis Grizzlies -7. Appreciate you guys. Best of luck to you guys today. I'm out.